EmKay, one question haunts and hurts.
Too much to mention.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to Top Oz Fandom Podcast, Down the Yellow Brick Pod, in our 7th season. Too much to mention because we are still at it. I'm Tara.
And I'm EmKay, and we are your royal custodians meets Connie and Carla of Oz, preserving and peeling back the curtain on the wonderful world located somewhere over the rainbow and its perseverance in culture.
Join us tossing open our textbooks and grimoires as we fall down fresh new rabbit holes this season.
You may find us hanging out with Elphaba's granddaughter in Gregory Maguire's Another Day series.
Or taking a detour, second star to the right and straight on to morning.
Or chasing Judy Garland-size rainbows.
Or perhaps providing our L. Frank to be exact, analysis of Wicked for Good. Don't be offended.
In addition, we will also be conducting interviews with Ozian delights in our Slipperhood, Good Witch, and Masters Behind the Curtain series. Stay tuned for a magical lineup of guests.
The Wizard of Oz has been with us, like so many of you, since our earliest of memories, and now in adulthood, it's gotten us through some frightening times. And friends, we have such faith that it will continue to do so.
Off the pod, please say hi to us on Instagram and TikTok, and consider joining our Patreon Pod Squad if you haven't already. Exclusive content and community events and bonus giveaways, oh my! We live to spoil our Patreon fam, and they are the first to receive all official Down the YBP updates, including discounts to live shows, merch, and our annual retreat. Sign up today with a free week trial at any tier. Your support makes the pod's dreams that we dared to dream really do come true.
Now, may the world of Oz continue to be a bewitching escape in bewildering years, nostalgic and nuanced, and keep on changing us for good. To Oz, EmKay.
To Oz. Brittany Drake is the campaigns director for the Protego Foundation. Previously, she organized the Los Angeles chapter of Direct Action Everywhere. Brittany has helped with countless campaigns and seen several achieve success, such as getting vegan butterbeer served at most Warner Brothers and Universal properties, Starbucks dropping of the vegan upcharge, Harvard and UMass closing their monkey labs, Farmer John closing their Los Angeles slaughterhouse, and more. In addition to her campaign work, she has rescued animals from factory farms and been arrested for civil disobedience on multiple occasions. Welcome back, dear listeners. EmKay here, joined as always by my co-host, Tara Tag.
Cheers.
Cheers, Tara. We are tickled pink and green to be diving into the intersection where the nonprofit world and fandoms collide, learning more about how fandoms can create inspiration to join the fight for social change. We are in. Sign us up. We're ready.
Love.
So today we're speaking with the Protego Foundation. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization created in 2015, inspired by fantastical worlds to fight for animal rights. So we are joined by Protego Campaigns Director, Brittany Drake, to educate us all on Protego's work, their Defying Captivity campaign, and how to get involved. Welcome, Brittany.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to be here. Cheers.
Yes, cheers. So happy to have you.
Love this. So, Brittany, which personal fandom of yours is calling to you today? Which one feels like that's where you're living? Are you drinking vegan butterbeer with Harry Potter? Are you hanging with Newt Scamander? I don't know if I'm saying that right. And his fantastic creatures. Are we belting it out with Elfie? What's our tempo today?
Well, I did start off the day because I knew I was going to be on the podcast. I listened to the Wicked for Good soundtrack while I was in the shower and getting ready. And I even dug into my archives and found my playbill from when I went and saw Wicked in 2016.
Yes.
Is that your first time?
It was, yeah. It was at the Orpheum in San Francisco.
I was going to say, that's the San Francisco playbill.
Yes, she's a Cali girl, EmKay.
A Cali girl,
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Yes,
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Are you a big fan of the films, the Wicked movies?
I'm a huge fan. I dressed up in like head to toe green both times when I went and saw it. It was
Love
great.
it.
Incredible.
Love
Love.
it. Okay, so we would love if you can walk our listeners down the yellow brick road of the Protego Foundation's creation. What was the initial seed that sparked what started? It has had a bunch of different names, right? I'm not sure if I'm saying this right. The Fooper Foundation?
Yep, it was originally
Fooper?
founded as the Fooper Foundation,
Fantastic Beasts
and
as
then
well.
Fantastic Beasts, and
Okay.
then it changed to Protego Foundation several years
Yes.
ago, mainly because the author of the Harry Potter books is very
We talk about this a
litigious,
lot.
and
Hmm.
a lot of other nonprofits that were founded like yeah 15-ish years ago, there was a bunch that founded because a lot of millennials were really inspired by the books
Mm.
and wanted to do good in the world. And but the Protego Foundation is one of those nonprofits that came out of it, and we're one of the few that actually remain because a lot of them were sued and ended up having to shut the doors. But
Ooh.
Wow.
we changed our name to be not related at all because Protego is a Latin word, so it's even though it is a spell in the
What does it
books,
mean?
Yeah, I was
and
curious.
it
What's a
means like
spell?
protection. So it's a
Protection.
protection charm
Oh, I love
in the
that.
Love.
books. So
That's
that's why we're the
beautiful.
Protego Foundation, because we're trying to use our influence and power to protect others and protect animals specifically.
Oh,
Love.
But
beautiful.
yeah, we were founded by Tyler Starr and Catherine Hensler. They met at a Quidditch league that they, I think, founded or co-founded.
I love all of this.
Um,
What?
and Tyler actually met through PETA. My partner works for PETA, and so that's how I met him
Cool.
about 10 years ago. And yeah, they created the Protego Foundation because they were both vegan, they cared about animals, and they loved the Harry Potter fandom, and they wanted to do something with that space. And that's also why I joined, because I love animals, but I also love like all of the fandoms that I'm in. I'm a huge nerd. I love Doctor Who is one of my big fandoms,
Yes.
but I like Harry Potter, I like Lord of the Rings, but animal rights or even really like discussions about activism in the real world, I feel like don't get discussed in like fandom spaces. It tends to be, going to cons, meeting actors,
Right,
going to
right.
parks,
Sure.
dressing up, creating costumes, which is all great. And there are like some really cool conventions that do put together panels that try to get into the nitty-gritty of what parts of the themes of the books or the movies or whatever the fandom's about, and apply it to the real world or apply it to activist spaces. But we felt like there was something missing in fandom spaces, and that's ended up why I joined, because I wanted to do something that I care about so much, which is animal rights. I wanted to bring that to my fandom, and it's been great. Like I've gone to several conventions, and we'll put up what we have booths, we'll put up a booth, and everyone's really like happy to listen. Even like people who are no one's vegan. We'll talk to maybe like three people who are like, "Oh, I'm vegan," or "My sister's vegan." But people really get it, especially when use the stories that we all love so much. It really makes it easy to connect with animals, with creatures, with people who are different than us. And I think people get that inherently. So when you go into fandom spaces and you talk about animal rights, I think people get it.
Totally.
I love this so much. It's a big reason we started our podcast, to be honest, back in the pandemic. The two of us were just trying to figure out how to be better functioning humans
Hmm.
and to see the world of Oz as a roadmap into doing so. And I will say, like, especially in 2020, especially when we had so much time, a difference of having more of it, we were like using it to get politically involved in different ways, which is great. I think there's such a bridge between these two worlds. So, what
Totally.
has been a highlight of your specific role as the campaign's director, and perhaps like a proudest moment you've experienced thus far?
Yeah, I came on to really try to bring like a boots on the ground presence with Protego, because a lot of the early campaigns of Protego were partnering with existing nonprofits and helping them raise money for things they were working on. We had an Arumbent campaign helping nonprofits in Africa that take care of rhinos that are poached. We did, several campaigns that partnered with other nonprofits and tried to boost what they were doing. So we wanted to really focus on trying to spread our own wings and try to get people and do campaigns on our own that would make a difference. So the flagship campaign that was going when I first joined was the Accio Vegan Butterbeer campaign, which was angling to get vegan butterbeer in all of the parks, all of the Warner Brothers stores, Harry Potter, like exhibitions, anything that comes up that's branded when they have butterbeer. That was our campaign. And I think that was my proudest moment, was winning that campaign. We actually flew to Florida. We actually tabled at a Harry Potter convention, and then we had planned to do a protest outside the executives entrance at Warner Brothers or at Universal Studios. The executives entrance outside the park. We had found where it was. I had put in a permit for to use a megaphone. I had stuffed it in my luggage. We'd printed out banners. I had come up with chants. We had a whole thing planned. And we were going to do this big protest outside the executives entrance. I mean, a big protest probably would have been 20, maybe 30 people, not, hundreds. But even with that pressure, we put out press releases. We emailed Warner Brothers and Universal Studios directly, and we had an ongoing petition for a couple of years at that point. But just the threat of a protest, the day before the protest was planned, we got a call from someone who she runs a local group in Florida that or a bunch of vegans who love going to the Universal Studios park. And she had been contacted from someone at Warner Brothers and Universal telling her that they were now allowing people to get butterbeer without the dairy topping at the parks.
Whoa.
And so then we found it was basically like a pressure campaign that we never ended up having to do anything for. At least not on the ground. We didn't have to do our protest. We had to go into the park the next day instead. And I got to try my first butterbeer, which was exciting.
Oh, that's
wow.
awesome.
That is incredible.
Success.
Yes.
So
And
cool.
that was after years and thousands of petition signatures. We had a whole plan to ramp up the campaign. The protest was just the tip of the iceberg. We were going to send letters. We had people sign these postcards, and we had hundreds of them. We were going to start mailing them to Universal with that request, because we're you can delete an email real easy, but when you start getting hundreds of postcards, but we never ended up having to send any of them because they caved. And then our next goal was then to get a non-dairy topping at the park so that people could enjoy the whole thing as it was meant to be experienced. And also we looked into how the topping, the dairy topping, was made. And it wasn't you'd think it would just be whipped cream, one ingredient. It was not. It was whey and then a bunch of other synthetic and oils and things. So it was really odd that they were so stuck on having this be a dairy topping, because it was this is a teeny tiny component of the whole thing. You could use coconut oil or something that
anything
would be
else.
a lot more friendly for people who, not only for animals, but for people who are lactose intolerant, people who aren't white, because most primarily the white people are the people who have the most tolerance to dairy. So there's a racial component to it as well. So anyways, then they tested a non-dairy topping and they released it, and it's doing pretty well.
That is so
incredible.
What a story.
Yeah. I picture you with all your postcards in Harry Potter when all of his admittance letters are flying through.
Yep.
Flooding Warner Brothers office.
We were going for.
That's the vibe. Yeah.
They were
Well,
no.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, and I
No.
think
Congratulations.
people tend to think like campaigns like that might seem a little frivolous because it's just going for like a consumer good. Like we want a vegan version, but the real goal is that by getting them to provide an alternative, it decreases the demand for dairy. And the big change is like something like that, like the butterbeer at the parks is so popular when
Yeah.
Universal Studios in Hollywood opened their park. Um, Within 6 months of being open, just the butterbeer sales alone earned them enough to basically pay for what they had sunk the costs into to build that wing of the park. So
I
six
believe
months of
it.
butterbeer sales was enough for like to make enough that was the exact amount that they had actually built the park with, which is
That's not
wild.
frivolous. That's
So
that's the
like
numbers right there.
having those options, like that's a very popular drink. Like we can tell people like don't go to the parks, don't do whatever, don't support this. But like fandoms run deep, people go, people like to take their kids. So having that option, I think is
It's
really
huge.
important because it does show demand and it does decrease the demand for dairy.
And also if it's happening within like in this broad, like this very publicized place, I think it
Hmm.
inspires other smaller companies or just to have options. I'm gluten free, so I experience like the array of things. Like some places are very gluten free friendly and a lot aren't. And I usually hear the whole like, well, it's more expensive for us to have to be gluten free. Like you hear the back and forth of it all. But it is hard because it's like, okay, like I can't eat here though in a way that like would be, I guess, pleasurable. It's such a tricky thing to balance. But I think like when you see a big corporation make some
Yeah.
changes, show that it is not, it's possible. I think that just helps with smaller places that affect people in their day-to-day lives, the bakery next door,
Right.
which is great.
Oh, definitely. One
Yeah.
of the campaigns I worked on with PETA was the Starbucks campaign to get the
Mm.
to drop the vegan upcharge. And the
Oh,
goal
I hate
was
the
that like
upcharges.
getting
Oh,
them to drop the
Yeah.
upcharge would trickle down because they're an industry leader. If they don't upcharge, it kind of forces other
Others not
chains
to.
and like other basically, yeah, most coffee shops too. And there's still plenty that do upcharge, but
all
most
the
of the
oat
chains
milks.
now have dropped it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the
Oat
oat milks
milk,
are like
50 cents.
in New York, they're like $4 more. Like it just feels
Ford.
like that sometimes where you're like, ah.
Cool.
I went, I was in Santa Cruz a couple years ago and I went to like a protest. It was right after Roe v. Wade was overturned. And I had
Mm.
also had tickets to go to a show that night. So I'm like, I'm gonna get some coffee and some caffeine so that I will have energy to do both,
Do
go
the
protest and
protest.
then go to a
Yeah.
Yes.
concert. And I ended up having to go to the grocery store because I went to three different coffee shops and I swear one had like a $5 upcharge. And I'm like,
Santa Cruz,
that's
get
the
it
price of a coffee. I'll have a
together.
black coffee for that price.
No, it's
Right.
here too. I notice it here. I think like there's a place that I go to and I do an oat milk and it literally becomes like $3 more.
That's so
So like
frustrating.
I don't do it. I just have my coffee at home most of the days. But it's always nice to go get a coffee and like
Yeah, go
again,
out.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
understand sometimes why the upcharges are happening. I'm like, whose pockets are being lined because of these
Right.
upcharges?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, always my question. This is so fascinating.
I love this. And
I'm
I love,
learning so much already.
I'm
I'm getting like revved
learning.
up
Yes.
inside.
Let's go. Let's go protest. But I just love what you're saying of like, just offer more options. That seems simple enough. Obviously it's not, but um, so I know that the Protego Foundation's goal, one of the goals, is to be a fantasy fandom that is more considerate of the rights, feelings, and treatment of all creatures, regardless of species, size, or magical ability, which I love. So what do you think are the ways that having a touch point into activism of a fandom of something that someone it just feels like I know what that is. That's recognizable to me. Even as I was kind of scoping out your website, I was like, this is super fun. This is not intimidating. I have this entry point in through a fandom. What are ways that you believe fandoms and storytelling like Wicked, Harry Potter can inspire real world advocacy for someone who maybe has never dove in?
I think that fandoms, people people definitely identify, they find the characters they identify with, they find a story that they love to be enmeshed in. And when you're really into that like world building experience, you get to know by the very nature of like having an amazing like world, like a fantasy world that you're enmeshed in, you're able to identify and see so many different characters that make up that world. It's not just like five, random like white people and then you don't get to know anyone else. You're getting to know all of the side characters and animals. Like animals make fandoms because otherwise it's kind of
I
like,
love that.
like a sitcom, like five, friends in a coffee
Friends.
shop in New York City.
Yes.
And you're like, where is anyone of color? Where is any like real thing? It feels very divorced from reality. And fantasy obviously is not reality, but what makes it feel real and makes it feel exciting to be a part of is that world. And to have that world, it has to be inhabited by people who are other than the majority. It has to be inhabited by animals. And I think a lot of these stories, people can see the the themes that are in a lot of these stories, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Wicked, of people like standing up against oppression. But
Yeah.
when you don't have a way to think about it beyond just, oh, that's a really cool story, I think people tend to like leave it there and don't think about it a lot more. And I think especially in like the past 10 years, people have been realizing that like, hey, I thought we all grew up watching these movies and reading these stories about how like fascism is bad. Why are people like, yeah, go fascism? And I think it's in part because people aren't thinking about it more critically than just, I'm really enjoying this story. And like maybe you pick up on some light themes, but you don't take it any further than that. So I think like the real importance of taking a step out of your fandom in your head or enjoying the story and taking it into your real life and doing some advocacy work or activism is really important because it can help bridge that gap and bring you closer with your fandom, closer with the themes, closer with the characters you care about. Um, because you can take what you're learning and apply it to your real life and try to make change in the world. And so, yeah, part of the Protego Foundation, a lot of what we're doing is trying to take people with those baby steps and show them a way to make a difference. You read these stories, you see these amazing animals, and a lot of these stories, people don't like with Wicked specifically. I think about this a lot of how like when I first watched every vegan I've talked to who's seen the play before the movies came out, was always so shocked, including me, that animals feature so prevalently in it because no one talks about it. It's all about the main three characters. It's like the love story, it's the power struggle with between Alphabet and the wizard, and the animals get totally forgotten. Like once you've left the theater, people don't really think about them. And I think the second half of the
We
play,
talk about
they're
this,
not
Brittany.
really featured
Yes.
much.
We feel
Um,
you. We talk about this
Yeah.
because it is such, I mean, it's also like resonating beyond in ways today. Like you could translate Wicked to so much of what's happening with immigrants. There's just so much with the animal story, but you are 100% right. It gets forgotten, I think, at the end of the day in the mass conversation.
yeah, and I really liked Wicked for Good because they really bring the animals back into the second half of the story. There's even like that whole beautiful song. I cried in the theater when Elphaba sings There's No Place Like Home with all of the animals and they're trying to escape. And you get to like hear the animals' perspectives, hear that they're frightened. And yes, like I don't want to say that Wicked shouldn't be like applied to other like immigrants or like a bunch of different other allegories into the real world that applies to. But with Wicked specifically, like it's literally animals
Yeah.
that are in the story. And I do think like that is important to bring back into the conversation because I like one of my big beliefs is all oppression is connected. I'm not, the first person to say that. I'm not even like the first 100th person to say that. Plenty of people have said it, but I think it is really true. All oppression is interlinked. So by recognizing that like stories like Wicked also are first and foremost about animals, it can also be applied to a million different other plights in the world.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to not forget that the animals are part of that story, and they're so beautifully a part of that story, because they they speak, like they speak in a language that we can understand. And in reality, we don't have, we it's hard for us to actually understand animals because we can hear them whimper, we can hear them cry, but you know, it's harder to understand what they're trying to tell us versus in a play like Wicked, they're literally speaking in a human language that we can understand, and they're saying, hey, we don't want to be imprisoned, we don't want to be silenced, we don't want to be persecuted, which, yeah, is beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's literally a huge part of the story.
we've had some huge conversations. We have a pod squad where we get really nerdy and really into it with our fellow Oz fans, where we've had like, I think, conversations regarding the wizard because he comes in and kind of corrupts Oz. Deeper Oz lore, Oz is a matriarchy before the wizard comes in and starts to disrupt all of the natural balance between the witches and everything. And I can't remember who brought this up. It may have been Ashley from our pod squad brought up the fact of like, is he going to introduce, because he wants to strip animals of their voices. He wants to take away the capital A and make them lowercase a animals. Is he going to introduce that you can now eat these creatures? Does he bring that to Oz? Which I'm like, oh my gosh, because
Oof.
obviously they're sentient creatures. Just like a whole, I mean, Wicked did
A
not
whole
go
other
this
rabbit
deep,
hole.
or yeah, it did not take any of the animal rights this deep in the film nor in the musical. But Brittany, have you read the Wicked books?
I've read the first one,
Oh my God.
Cool. Nice.
which I was going to bring up. I like the capital A animal versus the lowercase a animal. Um, because the other thing that's really interesting is like the being silenced because they lose their voice, but they don't really, because you hear them like making animal noises. Like they
Right.
still
Talking to each
have their
other.
voices, but it's really interesting in like the human-centric version of our brains of like
Yes.
they're losing their voices and going back to like how they are in reality, which they do have a voice, they just aren't understood by us.
Right.
Correct.
Which I think is really interesting.
Yeah. And Gregory Maguire makes a point because throughout the first two books of his series, since it's the Wicked Years is the four-part quartet of books, he in the third book he puts us in the perspective of the Cowardly Lion, so we go through his story as a capital A animal and what that has looked like in his time in Oz, his discrimination, his finding his voice, his finding where he fits in. It's so fascinating, it's so good. And I think when I read the books, that's like the central story. I think sometimes
Yeah.
that gets lost with the musical, obviously, but it's so central in the books, especially, and the comparisons to fascism and everything is so there. And I just also love what you're saying about fantasy has always kind of embraced misfits too. And I think that's why people can kind of find their way in, whether it be a magical creature or a human who's just a little bit off. And I think that's like, why people get into this. And you've been sharing a lot about all these campaigns and like also how tireless a lot of this work is and the persistence that needs to come with it. We do like to focus on overcoming bumps on the yellow brick road. So if there's anything that you'd like to share, the biggest bump, like something maybe or more recent that you've had a challenge with and how you're navigating that, just to give people, I guess, a perspective when things are not, they're feeling like you're at that roadblock. What is there to be done? How do you get around them? How do you keep going forward?
That's a really good question. I would say like a roadblock that Protego specifically has been facing, as well as a lot of people who were in groups that were in the Harry Potter fandom and started there, is that it's it's dwindled a lot. A lot of people have left. A lot of people don't feel safe, which I totally get. And I think everyone has their own personal feelings of like where they're drawing lines. Like the new movie came out, I don't or not movie, the new series came out, I don't plan on seeing it. Um, but, I bought the books 20, 30, I don't know, 20, not 30 years ago, 20 years ago, um, longer than that. And I don't feel bad reading them because no one's getting enriched by it. The money is sunk.
Yeah.
So everyone has their own
I
lines
get
they're
what you're
drawing
saying.
about around
Yes.
it. And like that's also why we're expanding into other fandoms, or it wasn't the original reason we wanted to start expanding into other fandoms because it's kind of limiting to just be one, but we've really been pursuing it because yeah, I think a lot of like the following online, a lot of the momentum that we had uh evaporated in like the past 6 years since the author has made her views on trans people very clear. Her hatred and yeah, bigotry
Yep.
is awful. And it's been frustrating to break into other fandoms, other spaces, because we don't have a history with those people. So and those fandoms. So it's been a little harder to get people to hear about our campaigns, to engage with our campaigns and our community events and stuff like that. But I think it's also a huge opportunity because it gives us an opportunity to embrace other fandoms, to embrace other stories, to be inspired, and I think to connect even more because I think most people aren't just one fandom. Like there's pretty much everyone I know who is really into at least one fandom. It's always more than that, at least
Yeah.
three or four that
Oh,
people are
yes, it
really
is.
into. So there's no point in like sticking with just one. Um, so it was a bump, but it's turned into a positive because it's forcing us
Mm.
to get creative, to reach out, to try to build bridges, be on podcasts
Yeah,
and talk to
yeah.
people from fandoms that we're into, but maybe not necessarily had talked about animal rights in those spaces yet. Um, so it's been really exciting to start moving into other spaces. We went to a convention that had like Game of Thrones as part of it, and we had like we created a Game of Thrones campaign called Defend the Direwolves, and we
Yes, I
had
saw
like
that.
borrowed these two like wolf dog like stuffed wolf dogs, and we had like a whole backdrop to like show that people could go to conventions and not have live animals and you could still take photos. And so we had this like cool little Game of Thrones photo op with these like stuffed dogs, which was really fun. And a lot of people came by and took photos. And it was really exciting to connect with people and find ways that like we can work together and have fun together and still make a difference, which was really fun.
Mm.
Beautiful.
That was what I was kind of struck by as you've been speaking and as I was looking at the website was like you've had these different names. It kind of started with Harry Potter, but obviously it's branched out into Wicked. I feel like there's so much that you could do with this like protection mission. And I've never really experienced a nonprofit that's focused on like came from fandoms into activism. So this is kind of blowing my mind right now. I feel like, yeah, it's a challenge and it seems like you're adapting in a really amazing way.
Yeah,
Hmm.
this campaign that's related to Wicked called Defying Captivity
Yes.
is really exciting because I wanted to really put together a campaign. It's not just me, but we wanted to put together a campaign that was really user friendly and it was more about education than like taking one particular issue and like attacking it. Um, what we did is we're doing it about animals in captivity, so zoos, aquariums, circuses, rodeos, whatever people want. But we've like created some leaflets people can download from our website so people can print them out at home if they want to go leaflet outside of like a petting zoo or a rodeo or something. And we also created themed protest signs people can download from our website. We have like a bingo card with just like simple activist things like ordering vegan
Love
food
it.
at the movie theater when you go see Wicked or a different fandom movie that you want to go see. Making if you're doing cosplay, making sure it's vegan. It's a lot of simple, fun ways to
Mm.
get people involved and get people engaged which I'm really excited about because even though it's not like, oh, we're taking this one target and we're going to take them down, or we're going to make one thing, it's more about education and getting people started and thinking about things because yeah, again, like when you watch Wicked, either the movie or the play or you've read the books, um, you can see that these animals have voices, that they don't want to be in cages. I loved Wicked for Good because it's an example of, I think there's two different instances where Elphaba does open rescue, where she goes in and she actually like frees animals from cages and she leads them out,
Fun.
which
Yes.
is really cool.
Mm,
And yeah, I want people to like see that in real life they can do that. They can make change for animals. They don't have to necessarily infiltrate a lab and go rescue a bunch of, animals who were being kept in cages. But they can start taking those steps of realizing that animals in captivity don't want to be in captivity, even in real life, not just in,
mm.
in our fandoms. But that's actually a thing that I really like about a lot of different fandoms. Like Harry Potter, there's a scene where the trio, Harry, Ron, and Ginny, are breaking out of the Gringotts bank and they free a dragon in the process, and then they
Mm-hmm.
end up climbing on the dragon and riding the dragon, and the dragon takes them out to
So
freedom.
good.
But like they open rescued that dragon. It did serve their purposes at the time, but they did do it. And it happens in Wicked, it happens in so many different fandoms, and it's like fantasy genre, like films and books. It's really cool. But I think a lot of times people again see it as like, yeah, they're like this means that like the protagonist is the good guy because they're rescuing these animals. But in
Mm.
reality, we hear about these news stories of rescuers who went onto factory farms or fur farms or vivisection labs and liberate animals, and they're charged with domestic terrorism. And people talk about
Yep.
them
Wow.
like the Wizard of Oz, or like the wizard
Right.
talks about Elphaba. They're scapegoated. What they've done has been like poisoned by the media, by people in power, because they don't want people to know what's really going on. So I think that's really cool with Wicked, is it really shows exactly what's happening when people actually try to do good. Is that
Mm.
people who don't want that to actually change anything will either like shift the narrative to make them bad or shift the narrative to like alter history. Like I really also like in Wicked for Good when the Wiz sings his song to Elphaba, trying to get her to come back over to his side. And he talks about how history is fiction. You could
Yep.
be a liberator or you could be, a destroyer. And it just depends on who won the side of the
Who
conflict and who's
tells the
telling the
story?
story.
Yeah.
Mm.
100%. Also, I'm like Stephen Schwartz missed an opportunity with Defying Captivity to like use that like as like a
Yes.
lyric somewhere
You should
or
have,
Winnie
because
Holzman miss because I'm like, ooh, this
it
like the rhyme
fits.
of it all too just like really fits and it is like what Elphaba is standing on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna ask what the process, like, what was the spark of Wicked? Or how did that sort of, when were you like, we need to do something with Wicked specifically? Because this
After
campaign's a
the
little bit newer, right?
Yeah, it launched right before Wicked for Good came out.
Okay.
So when the first movie came out, that really got us thinking.
Yeah.
I've always felt that it's such a vegan story
Mm-hmm.
that it
That
was just like the perfect opportunity where like we have to do something for the second half when it comes out. So
Cool.
yeah, we did like some watch parties where like when we were like rewatched the first movie in preparation for Wicked for Good to come out.
sounds like
Research.
a great
Um,
job.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're all gonna watch Wicked together.
Have your
it's
notebooks.
it's so fun. Yeah, and yeah, just it's something that we have been trying to like. There's so many different fandoms that people in Protego are like our volunteers, our staff. I mean, everyone's unpaid. We're all volunteers, but everyone has so many different fandoms, so we're constantly trying to think of what we want to do next. But we don't want to like overload ourselves with starting a million different campaigns at once.
Right.
So
We
the
understand that.
timing of this
Yes.
was just too perfect that we had to do it. So
Yes.
and it's so inspiring and it's so fun. And I think like we got some of our like volunteers who were artists to come back who had left because they had like personal stuff, like things that we're precluding them from being able to volunteer. And we called some of them back to help us create some of the artwork for our campaign. They were able to, yeah, come back and start helping us. But that was really
So
fun to
great.
like have some volunteers who came back specifically to help launch this campaign. And it's just really fun. Like I'm actually wearing our Defying Captivity sweatshirt today. Let's see if you
Yes,
can see it. It's
yes.
got, we've got the
Beautiful.
Yellow Brick Road. We have Professor Dr. Dillamond on here, and we have
Yes.
Woo!
the
Get him
Lion
on that
Cub,
road.
and then we've got Alphaba flying on top. But yeah,
That's so great. Maybe we need these.
I know, I think we do.
We're gonna
I
chat.
saw the merch and I was like, hmm.
You've been sharing about like how all this comes to be, and like I love it. Thank you for showing the merchandise too that goes
Yeah.
with this. And when you're creating these action steps, how, where do you see people like really respond to actually wanting to do this? When does it really click for them? What do you see works with like language or programs and the bingo cards? We love all that. What do you see is working and getting people to actually think that they can, everyone's days are precious, their time is precious. Bring this into their lives.
I think the first part that people usually get involved in is like a petition or a pledge because it takes so little time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
um that's why we like have the bingo card and a lot of other stuff that's easier to do. It's more fun to get involved in because yeah, like there's a lot that people are, especially now, like causes they care about, that everything feels like it's on the line. It's very stressful. So we're trying to make it like fun and fun to do to get involved with these things because when it's fun, it doesn't feel like as much work where you're like, oh gosh, like yes, I care about this cause, but am I gonna be like calling my senator like every 20 minutes because I found out about
Right.
something else? Like, that you can't live your life doing that all the time if you have
Sure.
work or you've got other obligations. So we try to make it fun so that people can like do it and not feel like it's such of a bummer or a downer. I do think like the bingo card and the pledge are definitely the most popular of this particular campaign. But I'm hoping people will use the protest signs when they think about going to a
Hmm.
protest. Yeah, they're really cute signs.
I
It's
love
also
it.
cute and bright and fun. Not that every
Yes.
cause has to have that, but like it fits so well with Wicked. I could see Glinda taking up this sword as well.
That's
I mean,
big.
the bingo card, come on, that's so creative and so much fun. So we
Love
will
that.
for sure link this specific page as well.
And Brittany, I would love to just hear a little bit how you have become so passionate about animal rights and your just a little bit about your own journey to veganism. I'm always scared because I'm not a vegan at the moment. I've definitely dabbled and done like times where I've like stepped away. And I think just because my life is always so kooky and busy, I've never been able to like really feel into making something like a life switch like that work, give it the time and energy it deserves. I would just love to hear your journey and like what makes it feel like, no, this is how I have to live.
Yeah, it's been almost 15 years since I went vegan.
It's
I was
incredible.
25 and originally I went vegan for health. Not my particular health. I graduated college in 2008 and there was not a dearth of jobs available. So I was living with my aunt and uncle, applying for jobs for like 6 months. And my cousin put me in touch with someone that she knew who was a homeopathic doctor. And so I helped him do some research and like write up like a pamphlet for his patients on like just
Cool.
general health guidelines. And so when I did that, I read a lot of studies and I realized how unhealthy a lot of pretty much all animal products are. Um,
Hmm. This is what scares
they're
me.
yeah,
I'm
I
like,
mean,
oh
it's not
God.
like,
I know.
you're gonna drop dead if you eat them, but they're not great for you. A lot of animal products are not. And so I started thinking about it at that point. I kind of went flexitarian for about two
Mm.
years. And
What's that
then
mean?
Um,
Flexitarian.
yeah, flexitarian. I was
It's like,
at the time I called it most of the time vegetarian,
Okay.
okay.
It's like a mixture.
yeah, you kind of just go in and out. Like you're
Yeah.
prioritizing eating more plant-based, but if you do, drink milk or like consume dairy or animal products, it's not like it's part of the whole thing, so it's fine.
Sure.
But yeah, like so for a couple of years I could like count on one, maybe two hands, like how many times I ate like meat. And then I decided that I wanted to do like full vegan. I was going to give it a year, and like I was like I have to fully commit. If I just do it wishy-washy, I probably won't like
Yeah.
stick with it. So I'm like I have to like set a deadline for myself, and I will commit for a whole year and see if it's hard, because I was like I don't think it will be, but we'll see. And then that lasted like 2 weeks, because once I made that commitment, I started like looking up like, well, why is honey like, why shouldn't I eat honey, or what is wrong with dairy, outside of like
Not
health
honey. What do you
reasons.
mean, honey?
I
Not
know.
honey.
Animal
Oh no.
products.
It is an animal
Yeah,
product.
honey it specifically is there's it's tough because they control the bees with the queen.
Yes.
And basically, like the bees go to
Mm,
all this work to create their honey. It's the people talk about like how nutritious it is. It has antibiotic properties.
Yeah, my
People are like, you should
allergist
drink
is
it with your
like,
tea when you're
honey.
sick.
Yes.
But the reason why it has all those is because like that's what they eat. Like especially like in the winter, they build up these stores of honey so they have this food
Oh, we're taking.
for themselves to eat. And what honey farms do is they harvest all of the honey and they give the bees sugar water. So I kind of picture it like imagine you made yourself like this gourmet meal, you spent hours making it, and you're like, I've got side dishes and I've got mains, I made a beautiful dessert, and someone came along and like took all of it, and they were like, here's a sandwich, like here's a
mm,
frozen burrito. I would be pretty pissed. And the nutrition isn't there. They're just getting sugar water. So it's not, doesn't have all of those, antibiotic properties, doesn't have all like the little things that honey does that bees would actually
This
use
is
themselves.
horrifying.
So
I know. This is
This is exactly how I knew I would feel. I'm like, oh
I
um
know.
no.
yeah,
Now I
but
have
yeah,
to like
anyway, sorry, I
spend the
got
rest of the
sidetracked
day
on that.
researching bees. Like this is where I'm at. I
Well, I
read
mean, this,
yesterday they're the most important like life creature, the most important creature on the planet. It was like,
I
sorry,
mean, because
humans.
they pollinate our crops.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, once bees go,
Right.
it'll be tough.
wow. This is very much like a peel behind the curtain moment for,
Yeah.
I mean, we bring it up all the time. I mean, the fact that we are millennials as well, like we grew up with a food pyramid that was just incorrect. Just incorrect. Just like, like so much we just don't know. I don't think like we're given enough information. You have to kind of do this digging work, peel behind the curtain, if you will, on
Yeah.
how products are made for literally everything. And it's exhausting to do this because there's so much greed and corruption and money-making schemes happening in all of this that it's hard to find out, like, is this actually good for me?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, it can be very daunting. The way that I live now is just, I don't really worry about that as much because I don't eat any animal products. And I mean, I do worry about like natural flavors creeping into everything. Like you can't buy like peanut butter now, or like soy milk. A lot of times there's like a bunch of ingredients. I'm like, I just want like soybeans and water, and
That's
I don't
it.
want any more ingredients.
yeah.
So I do like that does frustrate me, but I usually don't worry too much about like the ethics of things, because for me it was the main thing was animals. Like no animals are harmed, or very minimal animals. Like there are still like harvesting crops, some animals do, like they're in fields.
Hmm.
So sometimes when like they're, running like machines that are harvesting crops, sometimes like mice or will get stuck in the machinery. So it's not a perfect system,
Yeah,
but
no.
Yeah.
at least I know people, like animals weren't like bred and killed for me. So
Right. That wasn't
once
the
I made
main
that flip, I feel like
intention.
I don't worry about it too much, because I'm just like it's a not even a food for me at this point. I know that I don't want it. But the thing that I think really helped me get connected and stay vegan is um the education at the beginning, like the first thing that I watched was that really like changed my like goal from like doing it for a year, just being like, nope, I know this is gonna be forever. It was I watched an undercover investigation of a butterball turkey farm and I bawled my eyes out.
Yeah, those are
Um,
terrible.
I know,
Those
I
are
haven't let
absolutely
myself watch
heartbreaking.
those.
I've watched, yeah, I've watched one
my
of, I think
my
it was
partner
Chicken
actually
Run.
he did undercover investigation work years
Wow.
and years ago at a chicken slaughterhouse, and like his stories are haunting. But some of that stuff, yeah, it will like change you. It's hard to
Right.
like
Be
forget.
prepared.
But the other thing is like going to sanctuaries. Like when I lived in LA, there was an animal, well, there were several sanctuaries, but at the time, like I found the one that it was like the most well known. It was the easiest one to like Google, and I was like, I'm gonna volunteer there. And I would go to like monthly volunteer days and connect with the chickens and the,
Oh,
pigs, cows, ducks, goats. And like once you like really see them in their element, I think it's a lot easier to connect. Like for me, when I was a kid, I had a hard time eating like beef and pork because like I knew what the cows and pigs looked like, and I just
Yeah.
felt like they have those big sad eyes. Like cows just have like the biggest doe eyes. They're so cute.
They
And I
do.
feel like I ate a lot of chicken because like chickens looked so different to me.
Mm.
Like they look like little, they got little dinosaur feet and
They're
like
little
those tiny little
dinos.
eyes. But now like chickens are my absolute favorite. I actually just got back last month. I animal sat for a friend in San Diego, and she's got a bunny and a chicken and two dogs. So I was watching all of
dreams.
her animals while she was
Funny.
gone and on her trip. And so yeah, like and we, wake up in the morning and I've got all of the animals in bed with me. The chicken will like stand on my chest and like just look at me and I'm like, "Good morning, yo."
Oh my
Um,
goodness. I love it.
and like they all have such personalities.
Hmm.
Like even like sometimes something as simple as like a different eye color. I used to go to a lot of um vigils outside of like a pig slaughterhouse in Los Angeles, and I didn't realize like some pigs could have blue eyes. Like that blew my mind the first time I saw. Like, and I thought they
Hmm.
were all just like the same kind of brown eyes. It's just like a thing that you don't think about until you like see and
Yeah.
interact with more animals and you realize like, oh, they don't all like it's not just like their skin looks different colors or whatever, or they might have different colored fur. They even have different eye colors. They have like, it's just
Yeah.
simple stuff that you don't even think
They're not a
about.
monolith. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen or heard of the play August Osage County?
I've heard of it. I don't think I have not seen it.
I'm being reminded, and I think I've actually brought this scene up before on the pod because it has stayed with me since I saw that play in
Mm.
2007 or 8, whenever it
Oh,
was on Broadway, and it was such a tremendous play. But there's a whole section where the young girl in the family doesn't eat meat and she's getting a hard time from the rest of the family at the dinner table. And she's talks about how you all are eating the fear of a creature, and it's so
oof.
like chilling. Like I
Yeah.
I remember being like very physically unwell by her speech, and like her and like the audience gasping and like just feeling like we all partake in this animal eating ritual. And again, a lot of us have questioned what the ethics are of this. It's just something
Hmm.
our culture does. And that is something that I think was my first real wait, what? I never thought about this. And I think that that is what I'm realizing. We just don't think about this enough, and we don't
Because
have the
if you let
time.
yourself think about it, you're gonna have
It's
to
scary.
probably make some changes. Yeah.
Huge changes that you're probably like, no, but I like my this and that and this and that. But I
Yeah.
love how you're
Yeah.
saying like there's also like the flexitarian of it all. I'm like, it takes some time to
Yes.
get where you need to go. I always have to remind myself of that because this does inspire me to want to make some changes with the products that I am
Yeah.
using, eating, what have
I'm gonna
you.
use flexitarian. You're reminding me the things we do when we're teenagers. I barely remember this. I was a vegetarian for a year,
Oh, I
but
did that too.
I don't think I
For
ate any
Lent.
vegetables.
No, I eat pasta.
I was like, I'll eat pasta, but no animal products for a year, and then just never, really made any
Bread.
changes after. Yeah, it's like, how was my nutrition? Unsure, but I love the flexitarian idea of like just aiming for, changing the ratio a little bit and seeing how it feels. So thanks for bringing that like openness to this
Yes.
conversation, and I think our
Yes.
listeners will appreciate that
appreciated.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a mindset shift that I think is actually the hardest part about going vegan or trying to be vegan is just wrapping your brain around like what you're going to eat every day. It seems
Yeah.
like really scary at first. Like, what am I going to eat? Where am I going to get my
Mm-hmm.
protein? Um, and like I think everyone does go through. Like I remember downloading one of those like meal tracker apps when I first went vegan and I was logging everything for like a few months just to like see how I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was totally fine. Like I don't even look at I don't worry about things anymore. I'm just like, it's fine. I don't really plan. I know that like I mean I try to eat fruit every day and I know I get
Yeah.
enough vegetables. I love beans. You get tons of fiber and protein from beans. But like I remember finding out like early on, if you ate nothing but potatoes, you would get your protein needs met.
That's
Like, which is
wild.
wild. You're like, just
French
potatoes.
fries.
You're like,
See?
all
Let's
right.
go.
French fries, and you're like, hey, I'm getting some protein,
I'm
baby.
good. Well, then that's how I
Especially
survived.
millennials,
Potatoes
we
are
were,
an
I feel like,
anti-fertility
told,
food. I've been told
yeah,
that. Yeah, that's
Anti-fertility food?
yeah, because I'm on a fertility journey. So the foods
Whoa.
for that are also very interesting because there are some doctors who are like up your dairy, and there's some who are like no. So that's also another thing,
Mm.
being hit with confusifying information.
Musifying.
But I love
Yeah.
the like think of I this has always been fun for me with like thinking of your plate as Oz as a rainbow, like or just the foods
Yeah.
like the colorfulness of it. And that makes me excited to like, go out in the vegetable world a little bit more because I'm someone who definitely resists vegetables unless I'm told I have to and it's there. Um, no, I love all this.
Yeah, this is great.
yeah,
Mm.
there's some stuff like I started with like just adding kale to my smoothies.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I do
I
that.
just like add
Only
green
way
powder to
in.
my smoothies. So I'm like, hey, I've got some greens in just with my breakfast.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, or like I make a really good, well, I think it's really good, butternut squash
Mm.
based or pumpkin based mac and cheese sauce, which my partner calls it mac and
Oh.
squash. But you use like cashews that you soak and then like some roasted pumpkin or butternut squash, and then like a little bit of rosemary, garlic, olive oil, some salt, nutritional yeast, and you blend it up. And I mean, does it taste like cheese? Probably not. It's been 15 years. I couldn't really tell you, but it tastes really good.
That
So
sounds
I'll mix
Good
it with it, and I'm
alternative.
delicious.
like, it tastes good. You just have to like think about it, especially at the beginning of like, it's not a one for one. It'll just be different, but it can still taste good.
Yeah. Oh,
Or I make
so
like,
fun.
ice cream's gotten so expensive, like from the store. So I've been
So
making
expensive.
like chocolate mousse with like a block of silken tofu I get from Trader Joe's, some like melted um, chocolate chips, a little bit of coconut oil,
Mm.
like a tablespoon, and like a tablespoon of maple syrup, and then peanut butter, and then you blend it up, and then you put it in like and I just like eat it like a little bit like ice cream every night, and it tastes. I mean, it's not frozen like ice cream, but it's
Delish.
chocolately and delicious, and
It's
it's
taking the
got a whole
place.
brick of tofu in there, so it's a lot of protein.
Healthy
I love
dessert.
it.
This is so cool. Well, you've
But yeah.
listed a few action steps specifically for the Defying Captivity campaign. But overall, if someone wanted to get involved with Protego's mission, what would you say is maybe their first step? And are there any other resources that you want to highlight or share?
Yeah, definitely check out our website, protegofoundation.org. And we have our Instagram, which is also Protego Foundation. We also have a Twitter, but I don't know. I'm really on Twitter, but it's Protego at the end. Um, but definitely our Instagram and our website is where like we have all of our information on our campaigns. And um, definitely check out the Defying Captivity campaign. We have like really fun merch too, even if you just want to start like repping animals. Like we have a really cute one that says Wizard Liberation, Creature Liberation, that has like the trans flag
Cool.
colors on it. That,
Yes.
transcends like fandoms. There's so many wizards and creatures and a lot of different fandoms.
Hmm.
We have our Defying Captivity merch. There's like it's fun to just like yeah, rep animal stuff or like rep campaigns in your day to day. The bingo card is fun. Like you can like pick which actions you want to do, and then you can post it on your social media and tag us. We'll share it. if anyone who like does actually go to protests or does like leafleting, feel free to like use our resources. That would be amazing. You can even send photos to us. We'll share them. We also have like on the Defying Captivity campaign on that page on our website, we have just an email template too. Like that's something that I think I don't know if anyone's really used much of it yet. I have, and a few other people in Protego have, but I don't know if everyone else is as aware of that's part of what you can do for our campaign is like if you hear about a local zoo that's got, animals that are in captivity that you want released to a sanctuary, or if there's, a petting zoo near you or a rodeo coming to your town, we have an email templates on our website. And you can, like, if you wanted to like send an email, but you didn't want to like sit down and have to write an email, which is me a lot of the time, you can use our template, and then like all you have to do is get the email of whatever company or like community or community leader that you want to contact, and like plug in the specific information that you like want to talk to them about. But it's there so you can use it and not have to start from scratch, which is fun.
Oh, thank you so much, Brittany. This has been so refreshing and fun, and I definitely feel inspired and just I'm grateful for you sharing your personal journey, and I'm just excited to learn more. So, thanks for spending your morning with us.
We have one tiny final question for you before you go.
Mhm.
What are some dream destinations for Protego on the Yellow Brick Road down the line?
What I want to see happen is, well, actually, one of our destinations that's going to be happening in a couple of weeks is we're going to be having a action hour on a Zoom call where people can join, and we'll be sending emails, tweeting, commenting on like social media posts of various like zoos, rodeos, um, to pressure them to release animals, to, pressure cities to stop allowing rodeos to come into their towns. Um, like there's this one story of Billy and Tina the elephants. They were kept at the LA Zoo for like 50 years. They were taken from captivity. They've been kept in isolation for basically like their whole lives. They're slowly going insane, and the pressure in LA was so great that instead of actually releasing them to a sanctuary, they sent them to the Tulsa Zoo because they figured there were like fewer people, like fewer activists out there, so they would get less pressure. So they just moved him. And like there, anyways, that's so I would love to see a lot of people connect with those aspects of the campaign. And in the future, we will hopefully, yeah, be using our Defying Captivity campaign to get a little more targeted and less informational and get people like moving forward to helping animals in a more direct way, and hopefully like helping get some of these animals released to sanctuary.
Be an alphaba, everyone. Help out the animals. This is great, Brittany. Thank you
So
so
good.
much for the wealth of knowledge you provided today.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for having
And
me.
thanks, listeners, for being here. And maybe an action step is in your near future.
Yeah, go
We're
check out the show
encouraging you.
notes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brittany. Thank you, listeners. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Down the Yellow Brick Pod. We love linking arms and skipping with listeners like you.
A special thank you to our Patreon Pod Squad members who have become our Found Oz fam all across the globe. If you'd like to join, follow the link in show notes for more info.
Again, you can catch us on the socials and on Etsy serving up some merch, all linked in show notes below.
And lastly, if you are feeling the pod and looking for a free way to support us, consider leaving us an Apple rate and review. Each Apple review also equals an entry into our full-out, no marking, end of the season giveaway, fit for any level Oz fan.
As always, all previous reviews will also be considered in our entries. If you've been with us since 2020, oh, we see you.
Thank you, Ozians. We'll see you over the rainbow soon.
In a clock tick.